Hi everyone, Sherry here for Craftin Desert Divas, and today we're going to talk a little bit about coloring your stamped images. And today I am focusing on some of the smaller images simply because sometimes I find it a little difficult with some mediums to get in there and really hone in on the details of the image. With that said, there are a ton of different mediums out there in which to color your images. There are your alcohol-based markers. There are your ink-based markers. You have your distress inks that you can use as watercolors. And of course, there are a ton of different watercolor brands out there for the crafter. Now, what I'm doing today is I'm going to be using my Copic markers. I'm using my lightest color and my medium color, and I am going to lay down some color in my image, and I'm using my darker one, which is really my medium one, to kind of map out the darker areas. For instance, on the hat here, I want the darker area on each edge because it's a rounded object, and of course the darker one would be underneath the brim of the hat. And though you can see very little difference between the two colors as far as the shading is concerned, we're going to come back in a little later and we are going to fix those areas. I do this a lot with all of my coloring. It doesn't matter which color medium I happen to be using. I still love to come back in at the end and just add those little details that make your image pop. I'm going to finish up my little lamb here by coloring in her skin and her little fluffy ears. And I'm using my darker color to lay down the shadow areas, coming back in again with my lighter color and blending that out. And I am leaving some white space around her eyes. You need to do that around the facial area, just to keep that highlight in there. And I'm going to get her little rosy cheeks and her little pink nose. And here's where the magic comes. I'm bringing in a darker colored pencil and really going in there and picking out those areas that need to be shaded. I am a huge fan of the colored pencil. Not everyone is, but you can use any colored pencil, anything just to add that little bit of extra shading in the areas you did not get with your markers or with your watercolor. This just adds so much dimension to your project, and taking that little bit of extra time to do so really makes a big difference. Now, prior to bringing in the colored pencils, you could have left your image just as it was, if that's how you liked it. But as you can see here, with me adding the darker areas with the colored pencil, we're getting a whole new look to our image. And I'm going to finish up her face here and her skin. Of course, there would be a shadow around her nose and up under her hat. Again, I'm still leaving that white area around the eyes. And I'm going to bring that around her chin. And then I'm going to go in just under her sleeves, on the underside of her arms and her hands. And again, under her little pantaloons there. And down the inside of her legs. And I'm just using this to do little C strokes in the little furry areas of her ears. I think the real key to adding these darker areas on these smaller images is to make sure that your colored pencils are really, really sharp. That's going to allow you to get down in those teeny tiny areas that maybe your alcohol marker didn't fit so well in, or you were afraid to go in with another marker in fear of it bleeding into areas you didn't want it. So I'm going to finish her up here. I did go in with another darker yellow just to darken up some of those yellow areas. I didn't think the first pencil I used was dark enough. And here you have it. Here's my cute little lamb. And now I'm going to share the full card with you. I thank you so much for joining us here at Craftin Desert Divas. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye now.